That song is called True Love Never Dies. Amen to that. Written and composed by my dear dad in Italy. That was sent to me during the lockdown pandemic. Made me feel a little bit better. And as my singer friend Slim Man always says, it's all about the love. Yes, amen to that. Hope all of you are feeling the love in one form or another. And good evening from Ohio. We had some bad storms tonight, really bad. Knocked down a big-ass tree with a big tree trunk up the road here. Thankfully, nobody was hurt, but the road was blocked. I would imagine the city crews will be in tomorrow and clean it out. But as far as I can tell, there were no injuries. Thankful for that. All right, so I have some updates. I posted a more detailed update on the Toss Today Patreon page. If you want to download that and listen to that podcast, it's free. That gives a more in-depth detail of why I haven't been on that much this month. I had surgery on April Fool's Day. Nothing serious, quite common, I guess, in men. And I'll leave it at that. And I'm just waiting for a phone call from the hospital to negotiate the final payment for to cover the surgery, which runs into the thousands of dollars, even with insurance. A big mess here in America with healthcare, but that's not the topic for tonight. Tonight's topic is some fun, some jokes, and some tech talk. I'm sure I will probably miss most of you. Sorry about that. This was unscheduled, but I do have some time for this evening. I was at a friend's house just chatting and having some rum and coke and relaxing tonight. The storms have passed, like I said, so we'll talk about some tech for this evening. Tonight I am broadcasting live from Ubuntu, Linux, of course, the latest Ubuntu. And I am broadcasting from, it's a PC Lenovo from 2011 that originally had Windows 7. Yes, that Windows 7. I'm not sure if this PC has enough horsepower to keep up with the broadcast. Hopefully it will. Ubuntu is not the lightest of the Linux-based systems, but I think I tweaked it enough to where it's light enough. Ubuntu is not recommended for beginners. There's just too much tweaking to go on. But I think I got it working. It looks great on my new 50-inch TV. Yeah, about a week after I got home from surgery, my 50-inch TV crapped out. It was flashing. I think it was giving me Morse code. I think it was saying Arch Linux sucks. Arch Linux sucks. No, I'm just kidding. So I had to go out and buy a new TV. The last thing I wanted to do was to go shopping for a new TV after surgery, not knowing what my bill was going to be. Such is life. We deal with it and move on. I did buy a new TV, and maybe I'll talk about that tonight or maybe another evening. What I wanted was a Sony, but I couldn't afford it right now with medical bills. So all I can say is if you need a new TV and you want it to last more than 2 or 3 years, get yourself a Sony. Just spend the money. It should last you for possibly decades. Sony knows what they're doing because, hey, the Japs already build the best cars, so why not the best TVs, right? Anyway, I did get a new TV here locally and at Walmart because I needed something relatively soon. I didn't want to recover with no TV at all. So I'm using this one tonight. And Ubuntu does look good. I will give credit for Ubuntu looking good on a big 50-inch 4K TV, even if I am not broadcasting in 4K. On your end, for me, it looks perfectly fine. All right, like I said, I am recovering from surgery. I'm good. Once again, if you want a more detailed explanation of what went on, you can go to the Patreon page for Total OS Today. It's a free download to give you a quick update, a few jokes, toss in, and thankfully mine went fine. I should recover fully by June. All right, so I am live streaming tonight for Ubuntu, like I said. All the Ubuntu flavors have been released as far as I can tell. Ubuntu, Kubuntu, Lubuntu, the list goes on. I do like Ubuntu that is properly tweaked. It takes hours to tweak this. That's why I said not for beginners, but it does look good and runs fast enough when it is tweaked. I do also like Zorn OS and Lubuntu. And you also may want to take a look at Ubuntu Mate. And by the way, if you want to install a form of Linux, take a look at refurbished ThinkPads. There is an Amazon link below in the show notes. I've never had a ThinkPad go wrong with Linux, and it's a very good marriage. And here in the States, there aren't a lot of good marriages, sadly, half-ended divorce. But I don't think Linux and a ThinkPad will end in divorce. At least in my multiple tests. Heck, I even have 32-bit ThinkPads running with 32-bit Linux. Granted, they can't do much. It's just to play with. But I do believe that Linux and a ThinkPad is a very good marriage that will not end in divorce. All right, let me take a quick look inside the chat here, see who's sticking around for tonight. Oh, my dear friend Steve. Yeah, Steve says, hey, TV man. Ah, boy. Steve at Pro Memer. I hope I said that right. Hi. And if you are new to the live chat, hi, Pro. Great to have you here. I have not had good luck with TVs. This has got to be my 5th or 6th TV since 2008. I don't know what it is. Like I said, maybe I should just buy Sony's no matter what the cost. But the average life of a TV for me is about 2-3 years. Now, I know at least one time it was after a storm and probably an electrical surge got to it. I've had the worst luck. TVs today, they just suck. Part of it, and I did post a video update on this, a lot of it is the technology has changed. TVs have gotten more complex. We went from CRT tube TVs to plasma, LCD, LED, QLED, OLED, not to be confused with LSD and PCP. As I wipe off my nose, it's just a joke, But TVs have gotten more complex, and if the quality control isn't there, yeah, you're looking at 2 or 3 years. And with as much money as I spent on TVs, I could have balanced the national budget. I wanted to get a Sony. Like I said, I couldn't do it, not knowing what my final medical bill is going to be. I do have a clue, but I'm in talks with the hospital to make them an offer they can't refuse, to pay the entire bill in cash at a lower total, if that makes any sense. So, but that's where we're at as far as TVs. But yeah, Steve, I am definitely, in Italian we call it the maloc, the evil eye. I think years ago somebody gave me the evil eye from Linux when I said that, sometimes Linux sucks. I think that's the day that somebody gave me the evil eye, and I've never had luck with TVs. From now on, I think I'm just going to try and buy Sony's when I can, maybe next year. I got to pay off the medical bills first. All right. ProMemer says, I was wondering, where are you? Good to hear you are okay. If you didn't have insurance, it would be cheaper to fly into Europe. Yes, I totally agree, sir. Pay for hotel and medical expenses, still have money. Yes. The procedure I had, which was not serious, if I did not have insurance, I think the bill would have been between $15,000 and $20,000 for a total procedure that takes 15-20 minutes. For the surgery itself, not for the consultation and the anesthesia. That's separate. Yeah, between $15,000 and $20,000. I will not pay that much. It will still be thousands, but you are correct, sir. The healthcare system, and I think it's a sir. If it's a girl, I'm so sorry. But that being said, the healthcare system in this country sucks. Both parties are to blame. We have a local, not a local, but a U.S. senator named Bernie Sanders who has it right. You can't live in a superpower like America without health care for all and call yourself super and call ourselves super. There's nothing super about that. It needs to be fixed. It can be fixed. But the masses, us, the voters, need to stick together and demand it. It can be done. It's not easy, but think of a larger scale of the story of Spartacus, who almost took down the Roman Empire. A Spartacus event, but on a massive scale. It can be done. And then people like myself and Steve and anybody else will not have to worry about health care for all. Now, it should not be technically free. We should all pay for it in higher taxes, a few percentage points. But the flip side is you pay and nobody gets screwed. Nobody. And for some reason, a person cannot pay. For example, my ex-wife was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. She was a nurse, can't work anymore. I don't know if she'd go back to work. She can't work. I totally get it. If she can't pay for insurance, don't worry about it. It'll be covered by the rest of us because one day we may need that help. Does that make sense? But that's, to me, now that's a superpower. Okay. I don't watch TV from right about 2008. I don't even have a TV for more than 10 years. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I do have two TVs here at the office. This big one to do these podcasts and a small one on my desk. Yeah, and I have to be honest, that first week after surgery, it was rough. I was in pain. Not too much pain. I guess I guess it was more soreness than pain. I was able to sleep okay, thank God. But the first week was rough, and having a TV does help. I'm not married. I don't have a steady girlfriend, so it's just me and my family. But in that situation, having a TV helps. You had your last TV, Sony Trinitron. I remember the Trinitrons, reliable TVs. Look, Sony makes good products. They just do. It's that simple. Steve says planned obsolescence. I would say for the most part, yes, Steve. I won't say all TV manufacturers do that. That wouldn't be fair. But for the most part, yes. This TV I got is a Roku TV from a company called I almost said nonsense. It's a company called Hisense. I bought it at Walmart. Or it's nonsense too, I don't know. But I picked this because it has a 2-year warranty built in versus a standard 1 year. And if this can last me 2 years and it craps out, what the heck, they all do, right? So that's where we are at in terms of TV technology. But I do like the Roku menu. I will say that is very user-friendly, very stable, no bugs. Now, though, there's Fire TV, there's what does Samsung have? Tizen TV, I think. There's Google TV, Google, Tizen, Roku. There may be another one, I'm not sure. But the Roku menu seems very easy to use, and that's why I liked it. And it seems like the price was right for what I paid. Less than $300 if it lasts 2 years and it craps out. I figure it costs me about $100 a year to rent it. In Europe, people who work pay about $100 to $130 monthly for insurance. If you don't work, it's mostly free. But the problem is that if you have a non-urgent problem, so no reason to go to the emergency room, either wait for a free time slot or a year or pay about $3 to $5 for an immediate checkup. Well, see, I'm cool with that because at least that's a choice. You can have it for free, or if you need, or for example, my dad in Italy, he can schedule an appointment, or if he wants to see a private doctor, you can pay for that. But if you can't pay for it, it's taken care of, and we should have that here as a choice. No, one size does not fit all as a insurance system, as a health system. I totally get that, but let me decide, right? Let me decide, and don't let Wall Street decide, if that makes any sense. But what you're describing sounds reasonable to me. $100 a month is quite reasonable. That would be less than what we're paying now, and that's not bad. And like I said, if I'm paying $100 a month, but I don't want to wait, I want it to go now, have to pay $300 and still be covered, that's a bargain. That's like a Walmart price. Again, how things are done here in the States. But the number one solution to this, or the number one result to this would be, is that nobody gets screwed. Everybody's covered. You don't have to worry about filing bankruptcy, right? Again, that's just coming from an outsider. I don't live in Europe. But my dad's not complaining. My relatives in Canada are not complaining. I don't know. Can't be any worse than what we have now, but that's a different technology altogether. But thank you for the information there, Pro. It's greatly appreciated. Yeah, it needs to be fixed. Yeah, because the thousands I will spend now, I had to get the surgery done. I couldn't avoid it. That's the money I could have spent on a new computer, a vacation. It's the usual life. Um, so that's where we are as far as that goes. So what else is happening? I haven't seen any big news in terms of technology or Linux. I was hoping we would hear something on the update for the Ubuntu. I was going to say immaculate. That's not immaculate. Steve, help me out. What's the word? Immutable or immaculate. Immutable. We will get an update on that because Chromebooks have perfected it. A form of Gen 2 Linux is what Chromebooks use. They are terrific machines for what they do. Never a bug. I mean, zero. I know it sounds silly to say Linux without bugs, but that's what Chromebooks do. Anyway. Okay, so you say, yes, it's exactly like that in Croatia. Also, if you know people or can insert a few bills to the main nurse, you get your checkup sooner or suddenly. Okay, well, look, I understand even with a universal system, there's politics. I understand. Chromebooks, never heard of it. I would imagine Chromebooks are probably not a big thing in Croatia, if I had to guess. They are here in the States and in the world in general. During the pandemic, if you recall, Chromebooks outsold Macs. Imagine that. A lowly Linux-powered machine outsold Macs. That's freaking impressive. And now these newer Chromebooks give you minimum 10 years of updates, at least, starting at $200. It's not bad. I mean, look, I know Chromebooks aren't for everyone, but it's not bad. Most Linux machines today, if you want to get one, you're looking at close to $1,000 or more. If you're going to spend $1,000, you might as well get a Mac. I'm not saying they're not any good, but if you're going to spend that much, Macs have proven themselves. I don't know. I don't think Macs will give you 10 years of support. Right? I don't have a Mac. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, if I'm being stupid about Macs, feel free to correct me. I don't have a Mac. Usually Windows 11 or different forms of Linux, such as Ubuntu, Linux Mint. I have Zorn OS playing with that, Lubuntu, and MX Linux on the 32-bit ThinkPads. For Chromebooks, of course, they use Chrome OS. And I have a convertible, a 2-in-1 touchscreen Chromebook laptop. Just if you are looking for pure speed and pure stability, Linux powered, nothing beats a Chromebook that is affordable. Those are the facts. I know people say, well, Chromebooks aren't really Linux. No, they're based on fettuccine Alfredo. Jeez. No $200 computer, not in EU with your taxes. Okay. Got you. Also, did you see PewDiePie running Mint on a PC and Arch on a laptop? No, I did not see that. I can probably guess what he said. Arch sucks. Linux Mint probably worked out for him. Is that what he said? I'm just going to take a guess. But I did not see it. If I remember tonight after this podcast, I will take a look. But I did not see that video. But it sounds interesting. He used to do gaming, right? Years ago, right? Gaming stuff, one of the more popular personalities on YouTube, if I recall. But I did not see it. But I can take a guess what he had to say. Yeah. Anyway. I edited a podcast I did with my dear friend Stephanie from, it would have been before the pandemic, so I think it was towards the end of 2019. Stephanie joined me from Germany, and we did a conversation on the illusion or delusion of thinking you can be private on the internet, and how the internet has destroyed what we would define as privacy. That conversation we did in 2019. I edited from an hour and a half to about 30 minutes, and I don't think I was wrong. And of course, now things have changed with technology. There was one thing that we did not talk about in 2019 that is prevalent today, that can absolutely destroy privacy and humanity. I won't spoil it now, but it was not mentioned in 2019. So I edited that, and maybe I'll do a live stream with that one night. I wish Stephanie could join me, but she is still back. She's back in Germany. Anyway, yeah, PewDiePie is a big YouTuber. That'll push attention to Linux. Maybe we'll have Linux ruling desktop in a few years. That's what they thought 25 years. Well, we have Linux ruling well, not about ruling. We have Chromebooks that have become the de facto Linux standard for the masses, for what it's worth. Okay, so PewDiePie been around since 2013. It's over 10 years. Okay. Yep. Yeah, if I remember, I will take a look at that video, Steve. What was I saying? So yes, I did. I edited the conversation on internet privacy, which is a delusion, sadly. That does not mean you shouldn't do everything possible to protect your privacy, but there are so many ways you can lose your privacy that has nothing to do with the cell phone. It's kind of scary when you think about it, but such is the good and bad of humanity. See, human beings are inherently stupid, because if we were all smart, then why do we need the Bible? Why do we need the Ten Commandments? Why do we need the Constitution? Why do we need laws? I mean, if God's 10 Commandments aren't enough, and we're saying, no, we know better, well, we are inherently stupid, and which means there's good and bad in everything, including technology and the internet. I was watching the other night with my son, we were watching Terminator 2 with Arnold. Such a hoot. It's in your nature to destroy yourselves. Boy, how true that is, right, Steve? Especially in this country. But I keep the faith. I think there is still more good than evil in this world. So I keep the faith because we don't have a choice. If we give up, then it's over, right? We have our friends, we have our families, and we have Linux. When all else fails, go back to your Linux system. Anyway, privacy is over. Get over it. That's what they want us to do. People exchange convenience for privacy, or just don't care, which is even worse. Well, you should care. Like I said, you should do everything possible to mitigate or to limit the exposure or the erosion of privacy. And absolutely, you also want to keep your systems secure, from malware and ransomware. I don't mean to give up. That's not what I'm saying. You should be fully aware. But just be fully aware that just because you're using, quote unquote, a private web browser or a form of Linux that you are now private, no, not going to happen. It's possible to be, as close to 100% secure as possible. But in terms of privacy, the best you can do is 50-50. In my opinion. Steve says, yeah, but that's just the reality. It's something when we first started using computers back in the 90s, we didn't think about it till it was too late. Well, when it's too late, it's too late. So what are you going to do about it? I mean, think about it. Is the internet ever full? Right? Full as in, is it overfilled like your gas tank where it stops, where the pump stops? It's infinite, which means infinite erosion of privacy. So when I see videos, well, do this to your computer, this to your phone, and you'll have control of your privacy. What privacy? at least how we define it. Like I said, that does not mean you should not care. You should absolutely care and limit the erosion of privacy on the internet. But to say I'm going to use this and now I'll be private, well, keep smoking the weed. I guess if it'll make you feel better. Those days are gone, in my opinion. So, and that's that. How about a quick joke? This one's for Steve. Steve, last week I gave Trump's wife a big boo-boo. I gave her the glue stick instead of the lipstick. Man, she hasn't spoken to me in 10 days. Bada bing. Pro says, a friend of mine who was very smart and made a ton of money thought that a new private window meant he was private. Yeah, no, I know. People just aren't educated. It's not that they're stupid. They just were not taught. It's not their fault. Yeah, you would think private means private, but it's just the opposite. But it's not their fault. So be kind, be gentle, help him. Yeah, Steve's got the smiley face. That's one of my favorite jokes, too. Oh, man. Somebody posted a photo on Facebook, Steve. It was a photo of a cow on top of a couch in the dude's house. I'm like, what the? So the caption said, never buy a dog drunk. when you're drunk. I think they're cute. That's like news nonsense territory there, right? Moo. Private from the wife, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Give me a second here, guys. Let me check the OBS stats here. Not too bad. The lag, this is actually running better than I thought. The lag is 2.6 skip frames, so not too bad. I had to downscale this down to 720p because, like I said, this computer does not have enough horsepower. But it's not. Let me do this. I'll show you just my clean Ubuntu desktop here, and this is it. Those of you watching this podcast, this is a photo from the International Space Station of the Milky Way galaxy in the foreground and planet Earth in a time-lapse photo. Isn't that cool? Anyway, this is my system here. So on a computer from 2011 with, check this out, Steve, with the original hard disk drive from 2011, not even an SSD. I'm proud of myself tweaking this out to the point where it's usable. Anyway, that's my system here. So all right. Ben is in the house. What's up, man? He says, yo, I'm trying out KDE 6 on Gen 2. Yes, you're insane. Hey, I'll drink to that. We were just mentioning Chromebooks based on Gen 2. Well, there you go. It's not that bad, is it? I was looking for some more news for News and Nonsense, and apparently the Navy lost a $60 million F-16 Hornet fighter jet. It fell off the aircraft carrier as the aircraft carrier was being towed. Steve, why am I not surprised? Hey, I didn't know they had potholes on the ocean. They say the plane just fell off the aircraft carrier. Oh, God help us all. Anyway. How is Gen 2 KDE running on for you, Ben? Or should I even ask? Hold on with the drinks, or at least moderate it, may delay recovery. Also, going cold turkey isn't a good idea as a change for the body's too big. The jokes are good too. Thank you, Pro. Yes, after I had the surgery, alcohol does not help. Yeah, I haven't really been drinking that much. Even my beloved wine, I haven't been drinking that much. I have been limiting myself. You are correct, sir. I did have a mixed drink tonight, rum and coke, diluted. But you are correct. Like I said, I had surgery on April 1st. We're about a month away, so I'm doing okay. Okay, Steve. So the carrier made a sharp turn to avoid Houthi weapons fire. I can understand that, but don't they have parking brakes on the $60 million planes? I'm just asking for a friend. What does the captain of the ship say? Oh, shoot. Oopsie. Oh, man. Well. Surgery April 1st. No, I really did have surgery on April Fool's Day. It was nothing serious, but it's something I put off for a year, and I couldn't do it anymore. I had to do it. No, I really did have surgery. About 2 months full of recovery. I'm okay. Like I said, I explained everything on my Patreon page. If you want to go to that and download that short audio, it's free. You don't have to pay for it or anything. But yes, I really did have surgery on that day because I waited over a year to save up the cash to pay what I have to pay. I avoided buying anything that was expensive technology. I really need a new, faster computer. Everything I have is at least 10 years old or 13 years old and more. But I put those off because health is number one, of course, and family is number one. So I saved up some money to pay what I need to pay. Just a matter of negotiating with the hospital. As the Godfather would say, I'm going to make him an offer you can't refuse, to lower the bill and pay it all at once. If they accept it, I'll one less stress off my shoulders, and then maybe by the end of this year I'll go computer shopping, and unless somebody wants to donate a computer they don't need to the channel. But yeah, that part was not a joke. I just scheduled it on April 1st because my doctor, who's also Italian, he says, hey, you want to do this April 1st? I'm like, April Fool's Day, sure. I think he said the doctor's daughter was born on that day. So to me, that's good luck. As it turned out, everything went fine. The first week was rough. It was, yeah, I had to be careful. But I'm okay. Walking, I can't really do anything like cut the grass or lift weights or do sit-ups or crunches or stuff. That part sucks. Do the push-ups and stuff. But I'm okay. All right, Steve. Yeah, we'll have to chat one evening and like we used to do in the past, and maybe schedule something with the Linux A team crew, as it were. Maybe one week. And I know it's been a while. I just don't know when to schedule them. It seems the last couple of times I tried to do it, everybody had plans. So maybe we'll try to do it again. You got a new computer 3 years ago, 3.5K, 3,500. Wow. Only change I did is going from full HD YouTube watch to 2K because I don't see a need for 4K. Yeah, unless you're doing something live or out in nature to appreciate all the colors, I agree. You don't really need 4K. 1080p is good enough. Totally agree. Boy, I'm looking at the stats in OBS Studio. I am really impressed on this. The drop frames really isn't that bad on Ubuntu. I mean, it's in the red. It's not good, but it's not really that bad either. So, okay, well, what can I say with a machine with not enough horsepower? But good enough. I think I think for today's 1 billion Windows users, who probably a majority say that Linux sucks or tried it in the past that say it sucks. I get it, maybe they were given incomplete information when somebody said Linux is better than Windows or Linux just works, it's the best. Well, some Linux may be better than Windows. I wouldn't give a newbie Arch Linux, Gen 2 Linux, Linux from scratch, right? I wouldn't do that. Would I let him try Linux Mint? Yeah. Zorin OS? Sure. A Chromebook? Absolutely. And maybe that might be better for them than Windows 10 or Windows 11. But if you tell someone Linux is better than Windows without clarifying that statement, it's a lie. It's misleading. You have to say some Linux, a small percentage, maybe 5 distributions out of the hundreds out there can compete with your Windows and Macs of the world. So there you go. Yeah. Doing nature videos on 4K, definitely that's where you want to be. And oh, you're a Sony fanboy? Yeah, no, Sony's good. I remember growing up with Sony as a kid. It's good stuff. They make good TVs. I don't see too many commercials now for Sony, but now I have one of my cousins has Sony. I have some friends up the block who retired, bought their first big screen TV was a Sony about 2 years ago. 3 years ago, I lost track, and no, it's Sony. Sony's good. It's not cheap, but hey, you get what you pay for. Yeah, relatives who regularly called me about Wimblow stuff after I installed Windows 10 didn't hear from them anymore. Not even a Merry Christmas. I don't. Does that mean they hate it or they love it and it works? Windows 11 does work. I don't care for the politics of Windows 11, but it's faster than Windows 10. It's faster than some Linux systems. I was able to install Windows 11 on this computer from 2011. But yeah, Windows 11 does work. So Ben, you are happy with KDE 6, making a Gen 2 plus KDE with Calamaris ISO. Gotcha. Oh, and it has a GUI package app. Well, that's going to make it easier, yes. It works. We don't need to call that black sheep geek in the family anymore. Gotcha. Look, the best operating system in the world is the one that works for you. It's that simple. What's the best Linux? The one that works for you. What's the best version of Windows? Well, I would think Windows 11, but maybe not. I don't know. The bottom line is to improve the quality of your life. What can I do in life, in this case computers or systems, to improve the quality of my life? Less is more. Less time fixing something is more time for me. Okay, man. Yeah, so you wrote it with ChatGPT. Hey, if it works for you, great. I'm not into that personally, but it certainly sounds interesting. AI is incredible. I mean, AI can do wonderful things or it can destroy the world. Just like the Terminator did, with Arnold. It's fascinating stuff and dangerous stuff at the same time. All right, I'll stick around a little bit longer. Let me just take a quick water break. My mouth is dry from drinking that alcohol from earlier. Let me play some more Dad's tunes, and I'll be back in a few minutes. I'll stick around if you guys want to chat, so don't go away. I'll be back. Or as Arnold would say, I'll be back. All right. That song is called Symphony, the instrumental version of a song composed by my dad. He started sending me these songs when he was stuck in Italy almost 4 years from his musical vault just to keep in touch. And I'm grateful that he had the songs ready to go and that he's still around. So thank you, Dad, for some beautiful Italian music. Anyway. Anybody here mess with Lineage OS for a cell phone? I have it on a Motorola G7 Plus. I was quite impressed, actually, for a system like that that's free to install if you know what you're doing, and making an obsolete phone relevant again. Very impressive. Now I'm using a Samsung A25. I think that's what it is. I took a look at the latest from System 76, the Pop! OS written in Rust programming language. It certainly looked polished, but there was no wow factor. There wasn't enough in there for me to switch once the system becomes finalized, probably later this year. So it's okay. Again, I'm not a big fan of the standard GNOME desktop, just not for me. I still prefer Mate or Chrome OS or a modified version of Ubuntu. Zorn OS does GNOME very good with the proper extensions, if you like GNOME. So I'm not even sure if Pop! OS with Rust programming language is even necessary. I don't know. I guess time will tell. By the way, if there is anybody new here watching who has never said hello before and would like to say hello or have a question, please don't be shy. Yeah, say hello, have a question, ask your question. One thing I did notice testing Pop! OS, it defaults to the Wayland display driver. Wayland is not ready for prime time yet. That's pretty obvious. Wayland has been in development since 2008, almost 20 years. So when will it be ready? Your guess is as good as mine. Yeah, I figured that, Pro Memer. You're just changing names all the time. I know. You are preserving your privacy. Good one. Yeah, I like that. By the way, what time is it over there in Croatia? Here in the state of Ohio, it is 10:43 p.m. So what time is it over there? All right. I'll probably end this here soon. Call it a night. See if I can get to bed earlier tonight and get some rest before I have a full day for tomorrow. 4:44. Okay. There in Croatia, what's the popular method for TV viewing? Is it satellite dishes, cable, and antennas? Um, you lost a game, one game in chess. Let's call it a night. I don't play chess. Antenna and streaming via cable. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, here satellite dishes, small satellite dishes are very popular. Companies like DirecTV and Dish Network with the smaller dish, very popular here. Big company is Comcast Cable. It's what I use because they got the fastest internet service. Without them, I wouldn't be able to do this. It's kind of expensive, but it does work. All right, Ben, is there anything else new that you've been up to or in the Linux world that you want to share with us? If not, I'm going to wrap this up here in about a minute or so. Satellite dishes were popular 30 years ago, but smaller countries like ours have good internet. Not like US or Germany, where it's more than luck to have a good internet. It's getting better here in the States, I will say that. Germany, I don't know, to be honest, but you have good internet? Okay, hey, as long as you have that, sure, absolutely. One gig speed for is for $35. Okay. What did I wanted to mention? Oh, movies here in the States. Movie going to the movies has fully come back post pandemic. I saw a trailer for the latest Tom Cruise Mission Impossible film called The Final Reckoning. He does his own stunts. He's nuts. You always get your money's worth with Tom Cruise. So that's coming out here in a few weeks. I will go see that. They are also working on Top Gun 3. Will probably be the last one. I would imagine they'll probably start filming this year, early next year. They're working on the story now. If you didn't see Top Gun 2, they did leave it open for a sequel, Top Gun 2 Maverick. Looking forward to that. I don't go to the movies that much because a lot of movies just do not interest me anymore. But I like either a true story or a fun movie, such as Top Gun Maverick. Fun to watch. Actually, the last movie I saw was Alien Romulus, a throwback to the first Alien movie, and I think they're making another one. There's also a TV series called Alien Earth coming out in June. Looks interesting. All right, if there's nothing else for tonight, I want to thank everybody who stopped in. Of course, Steve, ProMemer, Ben, and anybody else who chose not to say hello. Thank you for stopping by. Always a pleasure. I'm glad I could catch up with you guys after having surgery. Surgery sucks, but sometimes it's necessary. I'm just glad I'm recovering. Hopefully to be fully recovered by June or by the end of June. A lot of movies are not worth paying for. Yes, Romulus was awesome. Yes, Top Gun movies are mostly good. Yeah, I think Tom Cruise gives his best. Try to give your money's worth. He was born for the movies. It's just the way it is. And it's amazing at this age. He's over 60 years old, still has the energy, but it looks like he keeps in shape. He just has to be careful not to get hurt. In one of the Mission Impossible films, I think he broke his leg or his foot or something, because of the stunts. Mistakes will happen, but yeah, he is definitely fun to watch. All right, have a good night, a good day. Be safe out there, and I'll catch you on the next one. Arrivederci.